Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So guys, is one of your New Year's resolutions reading books? Because one of mine is to read many books. And I guess like reading books in English can also be one of the New Year's resolutions for some of the non-English speakers. On the comment section of some of my videos giving you the study tips, I found some people wondering what books I've read. So today I'm gonna be showing you some of the English books that I've read, and I think it's going to be helpful, especially for the beginners. And before I start, I just want to make sure to let you know that this video is not for any kind of reading tips, but mostly focuses on how non-English speakers can enjoy reading books in English and which books they should start reading. You know, when I say the beginners, you can just simply interpret that word as people who have not enough skills to read difficult books. But what I meant by it also includes people who are not familiar with reading in general, or who have no experience yet in reading books written in English, even though they're quite good at English. I was one of the letters. You know, I was not a great reader, so I couldn't continue reading books if they're like slightly more difficult than my level of reading. So I considered myself a beginner. To let you guys know the conclusion first here based on personal experience and thoughts, I think it's most effective to begin with the books that have different spin-offs, such as like movies and the books translated in your own language. But what are the advantages of doing that? What's the point? First of all, it's fun. You should be having fun while learning English, you know? As I already told you, like when it comes to speaking, the shadowing for example, it's always better for you to select the content that gives you continuous joy and makes you never get tired of. And that's what keeps us doing it, right? And I think it's same for the books too, like to choose the book with the content that I already know and thus I like gives me the motivation to continue reading. And second, the worry for self-assurance and interpretation reduces. You know, like when I read the books that I've never heard of before or I don't know well, I always get suspicious both to myself and my interpretation skill.
I'm like, am I doing it right? Is this how the story continues?
Of course, if we have the same book in our mother tongue, we can refer to it. But what I'm saying here is that once we get suspicious and if we lose our interest and concentration on the content itself, we also like lose confidence and most of all lose interest in reading. But if you read the books, the story is really familiar to you because like you've already watched the movie or like you've already read the Korean version of that same book, you can at least roughly infer what's going on about the scene that you don't quite get. Of course, there are the differences between books and movies, but you know what I'm saying, right? And here I guess some of you are wondering, like, should I watch the movie first or should I read the book first? Well, my personal answer is to watch the movie first or to read the books in your language first before you get to read English books. You know, if it's the other way around, if you read the book in English first, you can only like satisfy your curiosities that came when you read the book and that's it. I mean, you can hardly improve your reading skills here because you already finished reading, so you wouldn't remember which part you were wondering while reading books by the time you watch the movie. However, if you have movies or the books in your language first and then read the English books, then you're reading after fully understanding the whole content, and that is what keeps you reading. And now let me show you what I've read. As a starter, here is the whole series of Harry Potter. I collected all of them from Aladdin, you know, the Korean secondhand bookstore. If you're a big fan of Harry Potter movie, I think this series can be just enough because all the books are so long, you know. Second, this is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I got this at the Lost Bookstore in LA. I believe it cost about $3. I bought it as soon as I discovered it in one of the bookshelves because I like watched this movie like 100 times when I was younger. It has some pictures from the movie and the graphics are so cute too. Even though it's the one for children, there are much more lines than I thought, so it's not so bad to begin practicing reading. And third, I read Howl's Moving Castle because it was the textbook for one of the lectures I took last semester. And to be honest, I hadn't watched any Ghibli movies before. This was the first one. As I found out that the book Howl's Moving Castle is going to be the textbook from the syllabus, I decided to watch the movie first before the class started. Surely it helped me a lot to read and comprehend the whole story, even though it's like slightly different from the movie. And yes, I got A+. Yay! And here's Dead Poets Society. Oh my gosh, I love this book in Korean. I read it like 3 times before. And there's a movie of it on Disney Plus. I found it. So I watched the movie just a week ago. I highly recommend the movie too because, you know, the guys are so cute, and since it's the movie filmed in like 1980s, the atmosphere of the film is very calm, warm, and comforting. Anyway, it was way more easier to comprehend the story in English because I read it after reading it in Korean. Lastly is The Great Gatsby. I read it just because it was sitting on my bookshelf for some reason. And I know there's a movie, but I didn't watch it, and I didn't read Korean book either, but I took a challenge for this because it has Korean translation at the back, so I decided to read it in English first and then in Korean. So like sometimes if you have the same book in both languages, it's worth trying to read the other way around, you know. Plus, if you're looking for the books that are not made into film, the books written by Spencer Johnson are also recommendable. I bought this book named Who Moved My Cheese just because it was popular, but I had almost no difficulty in reading it. I could even read it on the subway. It gives us a lesson too, so go try it if you haven't read it yet, and if you like it, try to follow up Out of the Maze. Oh, and by the way, if you go to Aladdin, you can find Disney books in English, such as Toy Story and Frozen, and they even have the Marvel books in English too, but I'm not sure about the level. And before I end this video, I'd like to give you one last tip to keep yourself reading English books, and that is to set the amount of reading for a day, like 1 or 2 chapters for a day. For me, reading English books requires more time and energy, so I really get stressed out if I try to read the whole book in one sitting. So it's always better for me to read just a little bit of it. Yeah, so that's my tip. Alright, so this is going to be the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you find today's video helpful, please drop the like and subscribe my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!